Chatter tagged you in a pre-election bulwark take that is laughably insane. They learned nothing and will continue to turn Dems into Romney 2012.
This is one of our colleagues made this point to me yesterday, that it's kind of extraordinary that the Harris campaign is basically closing with the bulwark. Like it's the closing messages are basically targeted for the kind of people who read and like the bulwark. Very centrist, very moderate.
I like that they're at least honest. This is right before the election, though, so they probably thought that this was going to secure a W, which is why they were very confident and did not shy away from saying that, like, Kamala is listening to us, right? I was on the other side going, Kamala is listening to them. She shouldn't. And we now know which side was correct, right? This is precisely what I mean when I say, if you want to defeat fascism in this country, if you see the growth of fascism in this country on the Republican Party side, you have to do more than just like lean into some of the fascist notions. You definitely shouldn't lean into any of the fascist notions from a moral standard anyway, but there is no electoral purpose for it regardless. We've seen it time and time again.
Like really,
these guys have no emotion. Why do you watch them? Oh my God. Buddy, I need you to understand something. They have unbelievable motion within the power centers, okay? That's it. These guys have tremendous sway amongst the consultant class. They have so much sway that Kamala Harris basically redesigned her entire campaign off of their demands. It's not about real people watching the bulwark. It's not about real people reading the bulwark. It's not about those numbers. If that was the case, then I would have the most motion out of most media. I would have maximum motion, right? I don't think Jake Tapper is capable of convincing hundreds of under 35ers to go out and door knock for a specific candidate. That's not going to happen, right? That's kind of the problem here, that mainstream media and even sometimes independent media comprised entirely of former mainstream institutionalists are not responsive to the needs and the demands of the public. And they are the ones that party consultants and individuals within the party system are paying close attention to. So in that regard, they have unbelievable motion. You're hearing them talk about it right now. They're like, wow, Kamala Harris listened to every single thing that we demanded of her.
Good stuff in that way. And that's kind of extraordinary and gratifying, which is nice, I think, for us, but also makes me a little nervous because, like, if it doesn't work, does that mean it's on us?
No, I mean, the reason that they're
no
doing it the way...
Yeah, heads I win, tails you lose. No, of course not. Yes, Kamala Harris has listened to every single thing that we have said, as we are admitting, and we are celebrating because we think she's going to win. But if she loses, it's not on us either. It's because she was a woke libtard.
that they're doing it is because the data shows that that's what they should be doing, right? Like, they're looking...
Yeah. No, the data wasn't showing that, by the way. That's why she lost. What's actually crazy here, by the way, is that there was no, like, reflection that this failure only reconfirmed their priors, right? They got everything that they wanted, and then they said, well, no, the data is showing that, and that's why we arrived at these conclusions. We didn't arrive at these conclusions because of some ideological zealotry. We arrived at these conclusions because we poured through the data. Well, I guess I must have been looking at some other data, and it turns out the data I was looking at was right, and the data you were looking at was wrong. So, did you maybe take a deep breath, take a couple steps back and say, hey, how do we get this so wrong? Or did you continue advancing the same agenda that the Democrats need to be more moderate? The Democrats need to consistently pivot to the center as the Republican Party has gone further and further right, creating this ratchet effect where the center is slammed to the right, if not the far right at this point.
At their own data that is saying, hey, about half of what's available and left are these center-right voters that we've...
That's not true. That was never true.
Got to convince and get over the line. It just so happens it is our cohort of people, but, like, they're not listening to us to make that decision. They made that decision because their data shows that it's the right thing to do.
So yeah, they said that. Apparently, here's the next part of the conversation where Bulwark ponders about how it would be possible for Harris to lose Michigan. Part 3 of the conversation between Bulwark's personalities about Harris using Eminem and insane clown policy as surrogates that attract young men in Michigan. Conversation continues about Eminem as a campaign surrogate on the Harris campaign and effectiveness of Trump's McDonald's stunt. Miller on being late at James Carville's birthday. Okay, whatever. This is like before the election. They're having a conversation about like the impact that they've had on the campaign and how wonderful it's been. I will at least readily admit Tim Miller, on the other hand, is a little bit more responsive. Tim Miller, on the other hand, is at least like a demon of the internet. So he sees the way the winds are blowing. So I guess he went on this podcast with Hutch, Pisco, the soy pill, who I don't think I've ever seen until this day. I've only seen like the drawn image of him. And this is like a liberal back and forth, right? This is like the prime liberal Hassan headquarters. Pisco is not a Hassan guy. I think soy pill might be. I don't know. But as you guys know, Hutch has famously said he would rather vote for Jeffrey Epstein instead of me.
Yeah, so we've had a ton of discourse in our spaces in recent.
So this is new. This is Tim Miller thinking about like the Hassan discourse and what that has created recently, I assume.
Kind of weeks. Some of it has related to Hassan, but it's more been about like a bigger conversation about the future of the Democratic Party. You're obviously like a Republican defector, and so I'm curious to know what you think should be the playbook for Democrats in the short term to sort of maximize electoral wins, and also like what you personally want to see, and do those things overlap?
Yeah, can I just say on just Hassan briefly? When I engaged in that discourse very early, which in retrospect was maybe a mistake, because how the hell did I know that it's all everybody want to talk about for weeks? But one of the points I made when I first engaged with it is that like the establishment the establishment Democrats, I'm talking about a Freudian slip, the establishment Democrats who were going after him were like stepping on a big rake. Like this was a massive cell phone, like putting out a memo that's like people shouldn't talk to Hassan is going to absolutely backfire on them. And the base, or like the active kind of Democratic voter does not want that. And there's some category of people that do, but if anything, it will end up empowering him more to like as an anti-establishment figure who's fighting them, because that's what people are looking for right now. Look at Graham Plattner and Janet Mills, and that's exactly what's happened. And it was really dumb of the third way to do it, just as a strategic matter.
Yeah, it was, and that's precisely the reason why I welcomed it. I said they're united in their hatred of me, and I welcome their hatred. FDR. Tim Miller at least understood that. He also understood that one of the key problems with the National Democratic Party that led to their demise against the incompetent, tyrannical fascist Donald Trump the second time around was their inability to address the popular sentiment that was growing at the time, that was the just sentiment, that was the moral sentiment, that was the moral center of the party, or at least the base of support within the party, and now the entire nation, which was Israel. Holding Israel accountable, stopping Israel's genocide. Their refusal to recognize that is what led to their demise, what led to the electoral defeat. Now, Tim has also recognized that I have credibility in this space. I never shied away from offering my perspective. I got endlessly yelled at for it, in many instances by, people that are either on this panel or people that, agree with people on this panel, right? But the reality was, I was correct, and therefore now I have that legitimacy in this space because I've been an advocate in this space for many, many years. Those very same Democrats do not have that legitimacy. They do not have that credibility in this space. So for them to like consistently attack me, for them to consistently turn around and attack me and say, oh, Hassan is wrong, and you shouldn't listen to him, he's a dangerous radical. Most people don't look at that and go, okay, I guess Hassan is wrong. We're going to move on. We're going to find a different anti-Israel voice. Most people look at that and go, oh, here they go again, being pro-Israel. And in many respects, that is the case. Israel first is the determining reason for why they consider me to be a dangerous radical. Like the Sarah Longwells of the world, or all these other people that have written endless articles, are worried about the Democratic Party having to take a close look at what the people are demanding, what the base is demanding, what the role I play in being a megaphone for this base. So it doesn't work.
My thinking, and I feel like I have good credibility on this, because like what I'm about to suggest the Democrats do goes against like what my personal political preference would be. If I could wave a magic wand to make somebody president, I would want like Jared Polis or somebody like that who has no.
Oh, Jared Polis. God damn, you have a magic wand? You're going to put Jared Polis in there? Jesus Christ.
Viability as a national figure. But I think that the Democrats need to put forth a candidate.
He said, I want a Redditor president. God damn.
I guess we're doing this in the 2028 context, but even in statewide candidates and federal level, who has some distance from the Clinton, Biden, Harris triumvirate. And like they need some distance from them, and it needs to be like comprehensible and understandable to people, to dum-dums, like what the difference is. And I think probably it is a little bit more economic populism. What that exactly looks like, I think, is up to the person, but mostly it is that they need to offer a critique of the Democratic Party establishment for being too cozy with corporate interests and saying that they're going to fight it at some level. Some of those proposals will be very stupid, but like there's some that are good, and I think that the framing is more important than the actual policy.
I like that. Tim has finally arrived at just fake it. Tim has arrived at just fake being a populist, please. Like, just lie and say you're going to do this, because it's very clear that that's what the public wants. It's very clear where the public appetite is right now. And it's true, and they definitely see it.